Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a bonus video where I am going to give my deck recommendations for everybody's newest favorite mode, Hearthstone Twist, which has the new age format. So basically all expansions from Ashes of Outland up until now with neutrals banned. There's some really very clear front runners we're going to recommend, as well as a couple of other possible decks that might work out. Before we get into it, of course, our giveaway going on for 2 regular pre-orders, 2 mega bundles, and on my pocket, all you have to do is like and comment in the video in the description below. Be subscribed to the channel. This guy looks like an idiot, so I'm going to dislike it. And for every 1,000 subs we get until all the cards are revealed end of July, I will add another mega bundle. So hit that sub button, make me go broke. So I have 5 decks here outlined, and I want to be very clear on this. Only craft these cards, craft these decks if you are interested in the Twist format, and know that New Age, the current format, is only planned to be active until the end of this month, so for a few more days of June. All of July, then Twist will go out of beta, will leave the entire game for August while the new expansion comes out, and then we'll have the full-fledged launch in September, and the format could be something completely different, and none of these cards may be valid, but they will always be valid in Wild and Duels. And I will say, there are 2 clear frontrunners for just the best decks by a lot, by a ton, that are just dominating the format. So if you want to play it and you want to have like fun with quest decks, there are 3 quest line decks. The top 3 are 3 quest line, the top 2 are quest line. Just be aware, the decks are actually kind of cheap. You can craft them relatively cheaply, and well, let's take a quick look at what they are, how they play, and starting off is, yeah, Questline Druid. It is absurdly good. It is probably the best deck in the format, and again, relatively cheap. This is the list I believe Martian Boo got rank 1 with, or it's something very close to it. But yeah, it's all about Lost in the Park. I believe the only legendary in the deck. And you can buy the battle ready deck and get that in there if you want, but you know, it also has some other legendaries too. It might be worth it. I don't know. I don't think it is. But regardless, you play Lost in the Park. It's a quest line. It's always in your starting hand, and you gain 4 attack with your hero. The reward is 5 armor. Basically, once you complete your quest, you get Guff the Tough, a 5-mana 8/8, which gives your hero plus 8 attack, and you gain 8 armor this turn. It's really easy to complete this quest because you have cards like Groovy Cat, which permanently upgrade your hero power. You have Harmonic Mood, when on the other side, 4 attack basically completes, you know, one of your questline procs. You have Spread the Word, which becomes 0 mana, draws through your deck very quickly. The armor you get from your questline steps get Crypt Keepers out as early as turn 2, like just absurdly fast. And Umbral Owls are also in here as they become 0 mana very quickly when you're playing like Aquatic Forum and Pounce and Nature Studies and just spamming cheap spells. So you cheat stats, you deal insane damage, you gain incredible armor at the same time. It's just a very efficient, good deck that murders your opponent, and you can even get like late game in there, Resizing Pouch later in the game, and you don't get offered neutrals, right? Resizing Pouch only gives you class cards, which makes it a heck of a lot better. And you'll note that, yeah, this deck, I don't believe has a single epic. It is just rares, commons, and 1 legendary. So if there's one deck to try out in Twist and you want to see what quest lines are all about, this is definitely the one. And the top part about it is it's basically a tier 1 deck in Wild as it stands. You would just have to make some additions of like Arcane Giants and Floop, which are epics and legendaries. So the Wild version is actually more expensive than the Twist version. So absolutely can recommend the deck if you are wanting to play Twist. The other deck, another questline deck, not as straightforward to play, not as easy, but the high rolls can be absolutely absurd. I have had tons of turns, I'll just screenshot over my face with a couple of broken turns I did while I was playing this off stream to try and climb a bit. But yeah, questline, Demon Hunter, basically you play the quest Final Showdown, you basically never care about the reward. It's just about the first two procs, where you draw 4 cards in one turn, then they cost 4 less, they cost 1 less each, and then your second part, you draw 5 cards, they cost 1 less, and then you're just spamming. Basically, you want to get out Vengeful Wallopers, you want to get out Irebound Brutes for like 0 mana, which you can copy with one of the epics, Philosophy, and buff it, and just spam them on like turns 4, 5, 6. You could set it up by playing Glavetar, which with all these cheap outcast cards lets you sometimes complete the entire quest in one turn. And the big thing that really pushes the deck over the top is Glide. This card, not only does it help you draw 4 cards, get a complete questline proc, but it disrupts your opponent. They have a bunch of cards in hand, you glide, you ruin their hand, as long as it's outcast, which is incredibly powerful. And then you could draw into Mana Burn, which is also really powerful. You draw into that, it's 0 mana, you play Mana Burn 1 or 2, your opponent has no mana, no cards, and you have giant stats on the board, and you're smacking them with the Glavetar. It is incredibly powerful, it's very good, and once you learn how to play it and get going with it, it's extremely effective and can beat basically anything with the optimal draw. It just, yeah, it takes a little bit of practice, knowledge, and planning your turns to get those optimal turns. So it's not as straightforward to play, but incredibly effective and really good. Those are the 2 decks. Those are basically the 2 decks of the mode so far. The meta might develop more. There might be better decks, but those are the only really safe like recommendations I can make. The rest, we're going to go into them. I think they have validity, but they're not those other 2 decks. So Questline Shaman, somebody got early legend, got a rank 1 with it, and basically it caps out at 3 mana, and you play the questline in this deck, which got reverted when it went to wild, Command the Elements, where you do want to complete this quest. You play your overload cards, you got to play 3, and then I believe 3 and then 2, and then you get your reward, which doubles your spells. You get double the spells for the rest of the game, and that can be credible with just burn. You could be credible with your charged call getting giant minions, which again are only class minions, so I think it's only like a giant for the 10 mana card, but Primordial Studies is busted in this build. You always seem to get, I think you always get Novice Zapper, which is always a proc on your quest. There's so many great cards that benefit from that discover basically bonus of no neutrals, and you got Jam Session in here, Diligent Note Taker. Just I think it's a relatively cheap deck too, with the main epic being Overdraft, which allows you just do insane damage when you're highly overloaded and ditch your overload. And that's and Fireheart. That's another legendary, still relatively cheap deck. Like, you take a look at the battle ready decks, you can just craft what you want based off buying bundles rather than spending gold on those battle ready decks. So yeah, another really solid one, but again, another questline deck that plays very solitary. Just spam, get your quest done, and then just create insane boards, get incredible value, and just get a ton of burn. So another competitive questline deck. And I'll highlight 2 mage decks, because mage seems to be all right. I haven't seen any great paladin decks. There's some weapon rogues going around, but I feel like they struggle too much against the top 2 decks. So I played a deck like this for I think 7 hours. And this deck beats Quest Druid, and it beats most other decks in the meta. It just loses really hard to Demon Hunter, and that's most of the matchups, but Hero Power Mage is pretty darn solid. It can beat Questline Druid, because you can, freeze them with Snowflare, the Amplifier. You can gain a bunch of armor. You can solid Alibi, infinitely with Servara, Dawn Grasp, Volume Up. You can freeze the boards of those Brutes and all of that for Demon Hunter. This deck is decent. It's okay, and I like the playstyle. Some people hate this deck. I enjoy it. I enjoy the playstyle. It's fun to make a big hero power, combo your opponent down. But again, pretty solitary, and Solid Alibi is one of the most toxic cards ever in Hearthstone. It probably shouldn't exist, but it really does allow you to beat the other toxic decks, so it's okay, right? And not really. but this is one that if you have the cards, give it a shot. I was able to climb, I think, almost to diamond with this deck. It was decent, and we're trying to further refine it down to a point of playability. And then the last one, more of a spicy kind of fun deck, I guess. It's another Mage OTK deck, but Drakefire Amulet, which really abuses the fact there's only one dragon in all of this format, and that's Haleh, which has never seen play, but you can Drakefire Amulet, get Haleh, and like OTK your opponent, right? So you can discount it with Incanter's Flow, Siphon Mana, you could try and get some biscuit stuff going on, but basically you just stall out, try and draw through your deck, discount your Drakefire Amulet, which you can get out with Hot Streak, and then yeah, get the Halehs on the board and just nuke your opponent. It's okay. It seems to beat up on some of the decks out there, and it's a little bit more of a spicy choice. So those are 5 decks to try and twist that are all proven to be winners, but really stick to the top 2, maybe the top 3, and the rest, I just, if you have the cards, have fun. But again, this mode, this format of New Age only goes to the end of July, so I just don't know how much I could really recommend any of this stuff, but I did want to suggest decks if you were interested. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Good luck on your climb if you do participate in it, and have fun with your quest line. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.